I'm. It sounded like someone was like drying off a walrus.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. I'm sorry. We can start the podcast now.
Okay. I'm B Natural.
Oh, I'm I forgot my name. Haha, just kidding. It's better.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Stir.
This is an Animorphs book club podcast. We read the Animorphs, we talk about the Animorphs, one book per episode. Most of us are arists, which means we have never read the Animorphs books. Be Natural here is the War Prince, which means she has read all of the Animorphs books. And so now we're just going to talk about them.
Guys, we are over a sixth of the way done.
Yay.
Yay. This is one thing where I haven't looked on it as a task that I need to finish.
I'm enjoying this.
I'm enjoying it, yeah. I think I'm going to be sad when we finish them.
Alright. Book 10, The Android.
There's an android in this
This book was actually about an android.
This was by far the best title.
I have to agree.
And it didn't spoil too much because, as it turns out, there's not just one android. There's multiple androids. So it actually makes sense, and it doesn't give away too much.
Why don't you read off the summary before we get a little bit more into it?
So I'm going to summarize the book. I'm going to try to do it quickly. It'll probably take over 5 minutes though.
Mustard, every time I get bored, I'm gonna make a spontaneous noise so that this will both encourage you to speed up and make the summary more entertaining.
Okay. So this is book 6, not book 6. Destroy. This is book 10, The Android. Then an elevator takes them down into this huge, bright, open chamber about the size of a football field, filled with grass, trees, streams, flowers, and some small wildlife like squirrels and butterflies. And also there are about a dozen androids and hundreds of dogs of all different kinds. So now, this time, humans were starting to create cities and plant crops now. What's wrong with my summary?
It's too slow.
Too slow.
You spent like 10 minutes talking about how big the basement is.
Mustard, you spent I would have described.
What would you have described?
I wouldn't have been like, there's an underground park, there's small wildlife in the park, there's trees, there's a dozen androids, there's dogs, lots and lots of dogs.
Maybe I'll re-record it better somewhere. Who knows?
Okay, who knows?
This is book 10, The Android. Jake and Marco morph into dogs to go to a concert. When there, Marco sees a kid from school named Eric King passing out flyers for the sharing. Eric doesn't smell at all, which is weird because all humans smell when you're a dog. The next day, while flying around, they see Eric King being bullied, and he accidentally runs into a bus. When that happens, they notice that Eric's body looks like a robot for a split second. So they realize that Eric is an android, and his human skin is just a hologram. The Animorphs decide to have Marco and Axe morph into spiders and spy on the sharing to see what's up with Eric. While there, they can see through Eric's human hologram with their spider eyes. Then a crow picks up Marco and flies away with him. After Marco escapes, he lands right in front of Eric, halfway between morphing from spider to human. Eric tells Marco that he's an ally to the Andalites and asks all the Animorphs to come to his house. They decide to listen to Eric and visit him. Eric takes them into his basement, which is actually a huge open underground area filled with androids and dogs and stuff. Eric says that he is a Chee, an android created by an ancient, super advanced alien race called the Pemalites. The Pemalites all died out a really long time ago, but when the Chee moved to Earth and started pretending to be human, they put the essence of the Pemalites into wolves, which created the dogs we know today. Eric also tells the Animorphs about the Pemalite crystal, which is a really advanced crystal computer thing that Eric wants to use to reprogram himself, because the Chee are all programmed to not be violent, despite being very, very strong. Most of the Chee are against this idea of changing the programming, but Eric wants to help the Animorphs fight the Yeerks. So the Animorphs break into a Yeerk facility where the crystal is, morph into spiders and bats and stuff, and get the crystal. Inside the building, they run into 50 human and Hork-Bajir controllers with guns. All the Animorphs almost die at the end. Marco passes out, but once they get the crystal, Eric is able to reprogram himself with it, and he kills everyone in 10 seconds in a super violent massacre. Even though the Animorphs won the fight, it was a very traumatizing experience to everyone, including Eric. So Eric decides to never fight again, but he will still help the Animorphs by giving them information and stuff. The Animorphs want to get rid of the crystal, so Jake goes to the beach, and then his dog takes the crystal and drops it in the ocean.
Okay. So everyone gave this book a thumbs up. This book was like a good book, and it had some cool things in it. It wasn't the most fun to read or anything. I'd say it was a solid book.
It was like an average good book.
I liked it about as much as The Alien, which I thought was okay.
I was not having a great, awesome time reading this book like I did have reading The Alien, which is my favorite book so far. But it wasn't like a slog. I mean, I guess it was a little bit of a slog. It was the slightest bit of a slog, but not really.
It was definitely a slog more towards the beginning, but like towards the end it picked up.
During the beginning, I was like, yeah, this book is not fun to read. And then, yeah, closer to the end, I was like, oh, yeah, this book's good.
During the beginning, I was like, wow, this book has spiders in it. And then near the end, I was like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, I know that, Stir, I know you cut out, you had to cut out the cover of your PDF. You just hate spiders so much.
Just the big ones. Okay, wolf spiders.
Downplaying how much you hate spiders, okay? You hate
Wolf spiders aren't wolf spiders don't even have webs.
What's wrong with webs? Wait,
I like the webs are cool, but wolf spiders just run up and eat stuff, and that creeps me out more.
I think this cover kind of sucks anyway, though, so you're not really missing out on anything.
I am missing out on the side stuff that you're talking about. The what you call
Yeah.
ribs, neck, spine.
The feet.
What's wrong with the cover?
It has an absolutely ugly color scheme. Looks like ketchup and mustard. And there's also this, it looks like ketchup and mustard, but this,
It looks like Mustard, who we all know is the most ugliest member of the Animorphs Book Club podcast.
That's
just a
true.
lie.
What?
Anyway, let's talk about this book. So Marco got a haircut.
keep talking about how horrible this cover is. I mean, I'm just saying the color scheme is like ketchup and mustard, but Marco isn't morphing into a delicious hamburger or a plate of fries. He's morphing into a big hairy spider, and that just doesn't go well. When I see this cover and I think ketchup and mustard, delicious, and then I scroll down and I see the spider. I'm like, gosh, shoot, you got me all hungry, and I'm looking at the spider, and I don't want to eat a spider. This is a bad cover.
I didn't spend much time looking at the cover because I don't like spiders. So
also, the orange clouds against black in the background look like some kind of nightmarish hellscape.
Hellscape, yeah.
Which might be appropriate for the spider, I guess. But then Marco is, it's just awful. This is a bad cover.
Yeah, so Marco got a haircut. I'm kind of wondering if like just the guy who played him got a haircut, or the model they used for the covers did. So they had the applicant had to like write around that.
I don't know if this is the same model.
yeah, I was wondering about that too. Where so Marco has a haircut, and all throughout the book, everyone's making fun of how bad his hair looks. And I'm wondering, man, I feel bad for the kid who's the model because the whole time Capplegate's just making fun of his hair.
Wow, I didn't think about that, but I guess so. But on the other hand, I just don't associate these models with the characters at all, in any way. Because they already, the covers are total bullshit compared to, the actual events of the book and how morphing works. So I just don't associate the models with the characters at all. Anyway, so I'm like, yeah, that guy, there's a dude turning into a spider. I don't like the image of his head sinking down into his crotch, but that's morphing for you, I guess. Sorry.
My brother would definitely hate this cover because he doesn't like when red and yellow are put together. He says it makes him feel thirsty.
Oh, and how is that a bad thing?
I don't like the sensation of being thirsty.
Well, yeah, then you go get water, and then it's even better.
Thirsty for
Okay.
ketchup?
You haven't have good tap water.
No, it's just reminds him of being all hot, like in the desert or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
So not a nice quenchable thirst.
No. Not like, oh, this is gonna make me want to go out to McDonald's and then drink some soda pop.
This cover is like having a nice Coca-Cola in my hand. I don't like Coca-Cola.
Marco's hair. Sorry for interrupting you to keep talking about the cover.
Yeah, in the first sentence of the book, it mentions that Marco got a haircut, and at first I was like, hang on, so did Capplegate just quickly add that because the model got a haircut or changed to a different kid? She was like, oh shoot, his hair's shorter. But also, like, it keeps being brought up like over and over again in the book. It's like this running joke that Marco got a haircut and no one likes it.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, whatever. That's. I mean, I enjoyed the joke.
Yeah, I liked it.
It seemed like just the kind of joke people would make of a group of friends, a group of middle school friends would make. I like the part where Axe says, like, Marco, I notice, I notice you have changed somehow. I notice your hair might be shorter. Are you suffering from some kind of illness?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marco,
Marco
something
goes
has
like,
happened to your hair. I believe it has become shorter. Are you suffering from some sort of illness?
yeah, I believe it has become. He doesn't want Axe. I love Axe. Axe doesn't want to overstep his bounds or like assert something too much when he doesn't know for sure. So he's just like, I believe it might have become shorter.
And then Marco gets mad and he's like, "What, did I say something wrong?"
Marco's like, that is it.
Yeah, I think this is one of Axe's best books.
Huh?
Really?
I like Axe's character in this book a lot.
Axe didn't do much in this book.
Axe didn't do much in this book.
Yeah, but the stuff he did do was awesome.
What did he do?
Cut people's hands off and said that thing to Marco and talked about zero space and
Oh, Zero Space.
stuff.
I guess we'll get to that.
Zero space is a thing that exists independently of Axe.
No, but he like talked about it in this, and it made
Yeah.
him all cool and mysterious, and I like that act.
Okay.
I don't care about the eating popcorn off the floor act. I can
Dude,
do.
I think this is like the only book where he doesn't cut somebody's hand off, unless I'm missing something.
He does slice stuff, but I don't think it specifically
It
meant.
doesn't specifically mention that he cuts somebody's hand off.
This might be like the only book where he doesn't cut anyone's hand off.
Anyway, let's talk about the concert, I guess.
All right, so Jake and Marco want to go to a concert for free as dogs.
Jake's like, "No, it's a bad idea. We can't do this." And Marco's like, "Dude, it's gonna have Nine Inch Nails and Alanis, and I don't know.
Does he mean Alanis Morissette?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never like heard people just refer to her by her first name.
She owns Alanis.com, so.
Whoa.
All right.
I don't really know about any of these bands. I know about Nine Inch Nails only from reading these books, so I didn't have any thoughts on them.
Oh no, these are like my favorite bands from the '90s. I don't care that much about Offspring, but the other two I like a lot.
Alanis and Nine Inch Nails are great. Offspring, I don't really care about, but Jake cares about them. Jake's like, "Wow, really? Offspring's gonna be there? Oh, I gotta go now."
Is Offspring a real band?
Yeah.
I feel like they brought it up like it was a made up band because like they were like, oh, and also Offspring.
No.
Okay. Marco's very obsessed with being cute.
Yeah, Marco was like, "Dude, I turned into this dog. Dude, chicks are gonna be all over me. I'm gonna get pet so much. Hopefully,
he
hot
wants
chicks too. I hope they're hot."
He wants hot chicks to heavily pet him and rub his tummy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this book did not have all the good Marco qualities that book 5 had. This had a lot of the more bad Marco qualities, I think.
I don't know if it had any bad Marco qualities, but it just the narration wasn't as eccentric and fun as the last Marco book.
Book 5, the whole time I was like, "This is great. I love Marco in this book." And this was like, yeah, this seemed more like a standard Marco that we've seen, like any other person narrating the book. But book 5 was like, it was the whole time I was like, yeah, I'm loving Marco in this book.
There were a few moments where I was like, yeah, I love how Marco words things, but most of the time it was just pretty average.
Well, in this book, he literally says that he spies on girls through the window as he's a hawk.
That's true.
He said a lot of creepy things in this book.
I don't know. I wasn't opposed to it. I thought it was like, I mean, it sounds like a thing that a middle schooler would do if you could turn into a hawk and a dog.
And he's probably just joking around. Like,
I mean, yeah, exactly. I didn't really see it as creepy because he's just a child. So it's like, I don't know. It was funny. I'm sorry. I thought it was funny that Marco was like, I mean, I laughed when Marco was like, yeah, I was trying to look at girls through the window. I saw this one hot girl through the window while I was an owl, but Cassie wouldn't let me look at her.
Oh, I want to read the first sentence of this book, because
the first page is all over the place in this book, and that's the first time that really happens.
I like the first paragraph of this book is like classic Marco. "My name is Marco. People call me Marco the Magnificent, Marvelous Marco, the Amazing Marco, and of course, all the girls just call me Gorgeous." And then he's like, "Well, that was a lie, but whatever."
I didn't notice anything really pop out about the first page of this book.
Well, it was classic Marco.
I was so incredibly bored by the time I got like to the end of the first page because then he's going into the whole exposition spiel.
Yeah, this has some of the longest exposition in the whole series, I think.
I don't know if it's the longest, but it was like I was very, very tired of it.
So at the concert, Marco and Jake are dogs, and they run into some hippies that pet them.
This book also has more. Finally, it's been like 5 books since we've had some tale descriptions. I felt it just sort of spurt out of the base of my spine.
And he goes, ew, or something like that.
He goes, ew.
Yeah, Marco, like most of his body changes before his fur starts to grow, which is like a gross image.
I like the way Marco describes the spurting of the tail, and then he subsequently says, ew, all but I feel like this is all but confirms our theory that it comes out of his butthole.
No.
I thought it definitely discounted his theory.
It just looks gross.
When something comes out of your butthole, do you say ew?
No, you say ah.
Every time I poop, I say ew.
Man, I feel like I'm used to it at this point. During the I think it's during the exposition, Marco just started describing Cassie, and he's like, "Yeah, Cassie doesn't subscribe to Teen or YM. She's much more likely to buy a magazine like Smelly Animals of America. The kind of magazine that would have articles like How to Give Suppositories to Raccoons or Let's Examine Owl Vomit."
Yeah, I like that part. I like
Bold of Capelgate to mention the word suppository.
Yeah, well, I mean, kids will know what it is, and if they do, they'll like ask their
Hey,
parents.
is a suppository a thing you deliver up the butt?
Yeah. Like I remember, like I think it was like in like episode 4 or 5 or something. You made Be Natural. You made a joke where you were like, "Oh yeah, Cassie." Jake's like, "Oh Cassie, can you please take a photo of you giving an animal an enema? That'd be pretty cool." Like,
oh yeah.
Here's like something pretty similar. It's like actually in the book.
And then Marco says, she really likes Jake, as in likes. Actually, she and Jake like each other.
Why is that important for the book?
I love this part though. I love this part because he says, although neither of them will admit it, of course, the only time they'll act that way is when we're about 12 seconds away from doing something insanely dangerous. Then they'll kind of give each other these pathetic, sad looks. It's so lame.
It is so lame. Thanks for pointing out, Marco.
Thank you, Marco.
I'm glad Marco has the same trip to you.
Notice he doesn't have anything bad to say about Rachel and Tobias' romance.
But that one isn't as official yet. Yeah.
Like, do they even know that Rachel and Tobias are like watching horror movies together at night?
Do Rachel and Tobias even know that they like each other?
Yes, they do.
No, but like Tobias just like goes to Rachel's house and watches movies and reads books. I don't even know if the rest of them even know that they're seeing each other more often than they think.
Cassie knows that because she said it in the last book.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but Marco might not. I guess.
We have another description of the number of Rachel's teeth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, me too.
So did they just retcon like from the first 8 books her having a normal amount of teeth? They said, okay, retcon that. Now she has inhuman too many teeth.
Yeah.
This book, it says she has, quote, far too many bright white teeth.
Yep.
And the last book said she has, what, 10,000, I think?
Yeah, 10,000.
So this is definitely a change in the number of teeth, that the rest of the characters are just not really giving much mind.
Well, yeah, but they're finally starting to notice, like, man, Rachel, that's a lot of teeth.
This is all on the same page. The magazine and the likes and the teeth. This is on one page, and I took so many notes just on page 9.
Yes, me too. Actually,
Yeah, you guys say you don't like the exposition, but sometimes it's good stuff like this.
When Marco does it, yeah.
Well, this is an exposition about the aliens. This is just him talking about his stupid friends. That's way better than saying, "Oh, yuck, 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 yuck."
They look like gray slugs. They're about 2 inches long. Like tapeworms, they crawl into your brain and they wrap around every nerve and they tap into your mind. Then you are a controller. You are not a human anymore. You are a controller. Prince landed and gave us the power to morph, to touch an animal and then become the animal.
Boring alert.
Yeah. That's what I'm going for.
I think this book had one of the best first scenes we've seen ever, because it actually was completely related to the plot.
Yeah, that's
true. The Nine concert.
It was. Oh yeah.
At the concert, they were dogs and they saw the android for the first time, or they smelled. They like noticed that someone smells weird.
This chapter also had a really good point that just shows how like stupid the Animorphs are sometimes. It's like, man, how are we gonna find this person's phone number? We could like infiltrate a meeting. We could like look for clues. We could like hack into computer security. And then Cassie says, "Why don't we just use a phone book?" And then they all look at her dumb, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's just grab a phone book."
Yeah.
I like that part.
This only has one chapter that you really could get rid of, I think. Besides, like, not including the meetings.
What chapter is that?
Where like Marco's dad is talking about his mom, like that could have just been in a different book.
Yeah, that was
I like
a
that
nice
part.
exposition though.
Yeah, it was good, but that was like the
No, that
only
was
part.
good.
Yeah, it was good, but that was like the only part that like wasn't tied to the plot. It didn't have
Yeah,
like
it was.
I mean,
yeah,
not
but you
really.
didn't need it. It wasn't moving the plot forward. It was just like kind of.
I would say, yeah, I kind of expected Marco's dad to be a bigger part of this book than he was.
But it did reveal stuff about Marco's dad. But like the previous book had like
Yeah,
8 chapters
I mean,
in a
the
row.
part about his mom like helped give him motivation for doing this.
I was fine
Yeah.
with Marco's dad like not being a huge part of the plot because it was already like, oh look, he just so happens to be getting a job at the military this exact time when they also need to be infiltrating the military for other reasons. How convenient. So I didn't really need it to be like piling on, like, oh look, we got a yurk with your dad's name on it. Going to confess to him the same day that you're gonna get the crystal. Oh no!
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it's a lot better than the previous book that had like 10 whole chapters that had nothing to do with Yurk's.
Pee-wee's book?
Huh? The previous book.
Previous.
Oh, I was like, when did Pee-wee permanent narrate a book?
Also, I thought it was cool how like almost every book would start with this like stupid like where they stop bullies or animal abusers or something. And in this book, it kind of had that, but it was also very related to the plot. And it was also not at the beginning. It was like halfway in the book, where these bullies are messing with Eric King, and then Tobias like stops them, and then it reveals like that he's an android or whatever. And like it was similar to the beginnings of the other books, where they're like stopping people messing with someone, but it wasn't the beginning, so it was better.
Mhm.
No, I'm wondering how the android's cloaking technology is so bad that like he just walks into a wall and then it reveals himself for like a whole second, and then people see him. Like how
It was
have
a split second.
okay, how have none of them been found out if like they just like walk into something and then their cloaking
Wait,
dies
hold on. Are you
away?
saying that the bus was standing still? I thought it was a moving bus.
Yeah, but it didn't hit him head on.
I would have been like, only a hawk would have seen that anyway because it was so short. But yeah, that is dumb because that's just a stupidly convenient way for them to find out for sure that he's a robot. Like they could have had way better ways.
These things have apparently have been on Earth for like thousands and thousands of years, and they've never been found out. But then this guy runs into a bus accidentally, and it reveals himself for a little bit.
It didn't seem that weird to me when I first read it, but now that you explain it like that, yeah, it does sound worse.
I mean, no humans notice, just the Animorphs who are hawks notice.
Okay, the book says, quote, for just a second. So it's, at least according to Marco, it was a full second.
After that, it says split second. So I think maybe he was just using second as just a phase. I don't know.
Okay, so
I feel like it wasn't a literal second because that's a very
so
long time.
it is a metaphorical second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he slammed it to the broadside.
I
Okay.
just think there are cooler ways it could have been revealed that he was by this point they've already gone spider and like seen that he's his robot leg. So like I don't think
Have
No,
that?
that happens later.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
At
Wait,
this point, they just smelled him.
Oh, okay. Well,
But still, they already knew he was weird. Like they could have just like, yeah.
I mean, X could have been like, yeah, the only thing that doesn't have or Cassie could have been like, the only thing that doesn't have a scent would have to be a non-living thing, and then X could have been like, oh, some robots can have holograms. Like, we didn't need to have a scene where bullies chase him, and then he just so happens to run into a bus just as they're watching him.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
I just realized that like this part kind of revealed like he didn't fight back, like so that kind of showed like, oh yeah, these androids are like peaceful.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of nerd who's getting chased by bullies is going to try to fight back? He just didn't run.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been something done with that, but I just realized like, oh, that was kind of related. I don't know.
That's true. So, do you think Chee would be able to like do trolley problems? Would they be able to pull the lever and redirect the train to the tracks that'll kill fewer people?
I think they just wouldn't pull it.
Yeah, I don't think they could do it.
Without pulling it, the train will kill more people.
But yeah, but they prefer to not interfere at all.
It's true.
I mean, every day, lots of things are happening that are going to kill people that Chee can't do anything about. So it's not like for them, it wouldn't be like they really have a choice there.
I know, like, it's not that they prefer not to; it's that they can't. Which is
Right.
out of this book.
Well, they can let people die, which is basically what the trolley problem is doing. It's if you let people die or if you do something about it. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, that's something I was wondering about. Like so it's established that they're incredibly strong. Like Eric's dad is not really his dad. He's pretending to be his dad, but he pins down Rachel as a bear easily.
Into a headlock.
Yeah,
Like a half Nelson kind of thing.
and Eric, once he's reprogrammed himself to be able to do violence, he's able to kill 40 people in like 10 seconds, which means he has to be really fast. So I'm wondering, like, would they not be a huge asset in battle, even if they couldn't kill, just by like pushing the controllers aside and like just they could run through an army of controllers, and if Eric is so fast, he could probably push them all aside or push a lot of them aside as they're going through, so that they wouldn't have to fight as many.
Yeah, you could just wear one of these guys' armor, and they could like hold your body together and make sure it doesn't get sliced open.
Yeah.
Maybe they will do that. Who knows?
Yeah. Also, the fact that they have holograms is like a huge.
Oh yeah, like they didn't hologram like any. They didn't hologram Yerks running around. It's basically just like magic.
Yeah, they can hologram a Yerks in the pool.
So why doesn't he just hologram a Yerk into his head? Like, why does he need to have?
Eric King has a Yerk in his head because he's able to use that Yerk, and he was able to take the memories of the Yerk. So then he's able to disguise with the controllers.
Got it.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about how messed up that was.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, let's go more detail on this because I didn't really bring that much up into the summary. So like,
He took a Yerk, trapped it inside his brain with like steel wires, and just left it there to rot, and he just feeds it his own Kandrona rays that he makes.
That's another thing. If the Yerks get a hold of the Chee, who can apparently like just make Kandrona in their little bodies, then also the Animorphs are in huge trouble.
Well, but the Chee are too strong for them, so not really. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's a million Yerks.
also the Chee can't be controlled.
Well, if they got them and were able to take them apart and like find out what part of them makes Kandrona.
I don't think they could take them apart though. I think they're too strong. Like, I mean, if 10 humans and
Well, they're really strong, but they're not
24
invincible. Visitors, we can morph into a big fat monster and probably crush one of them.
I don't think anything that he has should crush them.
Really? Are you going to make an assumption about everything he owns?
Yes.
All right.
Maybe that big rock thing that he morphed in book 2 and then never used again.
Oh, Visor 3 wasn't even in this book at all.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's true, he wasn't.
This is the book that doesn't have Visor 3.
Also, there's this like Yerk general type person who is like commanding troops of humans in Hork-Bajir, who she gets them to fight the Animorphs at the climactic end battle. Who's like, oh, I'm so cool, and I'm gonna report things to Visor 3, and I'm gonna ascend so many levels in the Yerks, and ha 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 ha, and then she dies.
Yeah, and all she did was like, yo, fight. She was just like leading people. It was cool.
I'd like to see more characters like this that are like just not Visor 3, but Yerks who are in power but still below Visor 3.
Exactly.
It would make a lot more sense.
It's just really cool because it's not Visor 3.
Yeah, it is, because I would like to see more of characters like this who, I mean, you could give them like various aspirations. Like some of them could be like, yeah, I just want to get promoted so I have the power to like leave this stupid place so I'm not with Visor 3 anymore or something like that. You could make some interesting stories with like various Yerks who command other Yerks but are below Visor 3.
Can you talk about when Tom and Mako are on a phone call?
Yeah.
So Mako calls Jake and Tom answers, and he has a conversation with controller Tom.
And Tom tries to get Marco to join the sharing, and he's like, oh, you should join with your dad. And then Marco just has this whole monologue about how angry he is at that. And I will read that now. The Yerks had taken my mother. They weren't getting my father. Before that happened, I'd tell him everything. Before I'd let that happen, I'd take Tom down, no matter what Jake said. I thought that was very interesting.
So do you say that means that like Marco would kill Tom?
Marco would take Tom down no matter what Jake said, out of rage. He said that like he admitted it, and this made me think like I think Marco's actually. Everyone talks about how great Cassie is, but I think Marco is actually the one who's most in touch with his emotions. he just doesn't share his emotions with everybody else, but I think he like totally knows what's going on mentally with himself. Like Cassie's always having like one revelation, one change of heart after another, and I feel like Marco just like knows how he feels and how he'd react to different things, because in the last book he narrated, Marco's like, sooner or later we're all gonna go completely insane. The other Animorphs haven't really said anything like that, and now here he's like, I would break, our kind of code of honor and our Animorphs code, and I'd kill Tom just because I'm so angry about my dad. Like, yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. You're right. He was the only one who would say that about being crazy.
I think Marco is the better Cassie. Everyone's the better Cassie.
Marco is the one who starts arguments, and Cassie's the one who's the peacemaker.
Cassie doesn't know what the frick she thinks. She's not really in touch with her emotions, or maybe she's in touch with her emotions at that exact moment, but she really doesn't seem to know.
Guys, we ranted enough about Cassie last episode. This is Marco's book.
Yeah,
All right,
no
all
more
right.
Cassie.
I was really annoyed by how after he was on the phone with Tom, Marco was like, "Dude, Jake, your brother sucks. He's trying to get my dad to join the sharing and get his yolk slugs inside my dad." Jake and then Jake's like, "Marco, shut up," because they're not allowed to talk about the plans over the phone because yolks could be like Tom could be listening on the other line or something. And so that was really dumb that Marco did that. But then after that, like, they still use like code words, and it's like, well, why are you bothering using code words now? You already like screwed up this call, like whatever.
I don't know. I don't think. Well, Jake cut him off just before he said anything like a yerk.
Did he?
I don't think he said anything like I mean, okay, well, Tom could pick up the. People could start and stop listening to the phone at any time, so that's not really.
Yeah, Tom like walked away, so maybe he was like walking away and then grabbing the phone.
How do you live with that? How do you look at that piece of crap every day? He's all like, bring your dad to the sharing, do a father-son bonding thing, and oh, by the way, would you mind if we stuck and then Jake cuts him off.
It sounds like Jake was just like, Marco, my brother keeps trying to get Marco, my brother keeps trying to get me to join this stupid thing and I don't want to do it. So it sounds like Marco's just like fed up by hearing about the sharing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to join your stupid Boy Scouts thing. I don't want you to shove your Boy Scouts in my face.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I read it and didn't interpret that, but now that I'm revealing it, yeah, he didn't really reveal anything specific.
More Marco anger. It was a sick feeling. It was sick and I knew it, and yet I ran those images over and over in my head. Rage is addictive, I guess it's sort of like a drug. Anger and hatred get you high. They get you high, but like any addiction, they hollow you out and tear you down and eat you alive. I guess I knew all that, but all I could think of was that they were not getting my father. So I ran the scenes of violence over and over in my head. I rode that rush of fury till at last it burned itself out and left me feeling empty and beaten.
Yeah, I definitely can understand like the having like visions of like rage and like imagining like hurting other people and being violent.
Yeah, Marco was talking about like images of hurting the Yurks.
Yeah, he was having like sadistic fantasies in his head.
Thanks, Applegate. It's nice to know that other people do that too.
Yeah, this is probably how I relate to Marco the least, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think in every other way, I'm pretty similar to Marco.
I relate to that.
I don't.
I can see how you don't relate to that, Mustard.
I relate to everything else Marco says, though, just not the sadistic rage fantasies.
Yeah.
I like the part. I mean, I love the parts of the books where we see how the kids are damaged.
Oh yeah.
They're so damaged in this. This book was damaging, dude. Towards the end, I was like, "Holy crap, this is dark." When like Eric is talking about like the things he did and like how he'll never forgive himself and blah blah blah, and then Marco's like, "Already, I can feel myself starting to forget what happened today."
Yeah.
And then yeah, Marco almost died in this book. Like almost died. I'm still not entirely convinced that he just like passed out and like morphed back somehow.
Well, it's because they gave him an electric shock or something.
He had a hole in his chest where he could see his organs.
Eric had to like defibrillate him.
He had to give him a suppository to wake him up.
I was gonna say that.
You were? I was really considering not saying it. I don't know what got into me.
Oh, there's a really good Tobias part in this book, as there is in every book. So Tobias is great. Rachel, I don't remember the context of this at all. But Rachel's like talking about how there's some like, cute small animals in the forest or something. She's like, yeah, there are these cute animals, and then Tobias is like, okay, fine, they're off limits.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's just propping up Cassie's little delusion.
So did you guys not love Axe in this book?
He wasn't the focus of the book, so I didn't pay attention to him as much.
Oh, I know. I totally pay attention to him in this. This is like where he shines, I think. There's a part where like
just explaining things and not really expressing his personality too much, but just explaining sci-fi things. Wow.
I think this book did get a lot better once X showed up because the beginning, like we said, was really boring.
no, there's a part where Jake and Marco are both birds and just talking bird smack to each other, and Jake's like, "No, man, falcons are better," and Marco's like, "No, ospreys should kick your falcon butt," and then Ash says, it just says, "Excuse me, is there some kind of special meaning to this conversation I don't understand?" And Marco's like, "Yeah, we're just babbling in a desperate effort not to think about fear," and that's that.
Oh, I was gonna talk about how this really cool thing that like when Marco was supposed to be attacked by another bird, and Tobias was like, "Oh yeah, Marco, I would bank left really sharply in 3, 2, 1." And then like I don't know, I thought that was cool that Tobias just like knew so much about being a bird that he like was just like calmly was like, "Yeah, Marco, get out of the way now," when another bird was trying to attack him.
There's that whole scene where Marco's like, "Man, flying is so great. Forget rollerblading and surfing. You should go flying instead because it's so fun." And oh my God, I'm gonna die. And then
Yeah.
I like it's nice. And then he was like, "Yeah, I don't feel like flying anymore."
Yeah, finally, like one of the kids talking about how great stuff is actually goes somewhere. Every other book is just, yeah, it's great, woo, screw going to school. Hey, kids, your life sucks because you can't do this. Ha 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 ha, wee. Then this one's like, don't, you don't want to almost die like I did.
Talking about this book, the moment, like, yeah, this book was really solid because I was like not complete. I was, yeah, it was average, good to good average. But yeah, this book, there was like no issues with this book really.
This
Like,
was a good plot. I'll remember the plot of this book, but I can't say I'll remember a lot about like the way it was written or anything.
yeah,
I think the way Marco just is like, yes sir, Tobias, I will dodge that thing, kind of shows like that, like, yeah, he like jokes around a lot, but he is definitely willing to follow orders without whining. He pretty much only whines to fill up space if like no one else is talking or if he's afraid. But like if he needs to, he will just follow orders without questioning it.
Marco is definitely one of the strongest characters at this point.
Man, we hated him so much in book 1 and 2.
A lot of the characters are really good. And I was like surprised by that because I just remember them being like, "Oh, the strong one and the peaceful one and the leader one, and the
I
funny
never
one."
hated Marco. I always thought he was funny.
I mean, I never hated them, but I just like when I was thinking about rereading this, I wasn't really thinking about. I didn't really remember the characters like this. You know, like I'm surprised at how dimensional they are.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how deep they are. Deep.
I wonder if Issue 3 will end up that way sometime.
Yeah, they'd have to do a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Z space thing. That was another thing I really liked. With just the way Act explains it, I think is fantastic. Like he doesn't just say it; he's like,
I just didn't think of this as a good Axe moment. I just thought of it as a good lore moment, really.
no, but it's the way Act talks about it. How
I have a.
Well, I was just talking about it the way he talks about other stuff.
I have the quote here. Would you like me to read it?
I can read it.
Okay.
Okay, Act says, when you morph something smaller than yourself, your body mass must go somewhere. So it goes into zero space. Zero space is the space that ships travel through when they are going faster than light. It's not very likely to happen, but sometimes a ship traveling in Z space will intersect with a temporarily perked mass. So someone else says, wait a minute, are you telling me that when we get small, all the leftover stuff, all the extra flesh and guts and bones go bulging into zero space like some big balloon of human tissue? And Act says, of course, where do you think all the mass went? So I think Jake says, so right now there's a big bag of Jake floating in zero space. It's possible that some spaceship will zoom along and hit it and splatter it all over. And Act says, no, of course not. And he says, no ship would actually hit a floating mass. The ship's shielding system would disintegrate the mass. That's what troubles me doing small morphs. It very seldom happens. The odds are millions to 1, but it could happen.
I wonder what would happen, like if that happened and then you tried to morph back. Like, would you just like get to a certain size and then just stop?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
I mean, the odds are millions to 1, like millions with an S.
I like thinking of Axe as kind of superstitious. I can see this being something that you would never ever worry about, but like, just thinking it could happen. Worrying about being struck by lightning or something.
Yeah.
Now, I have a big
What
question.
would happen though? Would you just like become? If you tried to like morph back from a fly, would you just become a really tiny person?
Oh, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that could happen.
Well,
Also, could you pull mass from like other masses that are parts?
And that makes me wonder, like, when you grow bigger than yourself, where does that mass come from?
yeah, that's never explained here.
Yeah, I just wrote that question down in all caps. What happens when they grow? Like this whole mass issue was never brought up, or like the mass has to go somewhere. So like, where does the mass come from when they grow? That this explanation doesn't make any sense in terms of that until
Well,
more
maybe
explained.
it's like a bank where it's like there's just maybe there are so many people morphing around the universe at this point that it's like a bank, and you can just pull the mass. You can just pull extra mass that's not in use currently from zero space. But like maybe there could be like a big mass crash, like a big stock market crash where everyone tries to morph back into like their original form at once, but there's not enough mass for that to happen because some of it's been disintegrated. And then a bunch of people start freaking out.
Jeez.
Complicated andalite technology.
Also, I mean, you do gotta think about the fact that there's like a massive Tobias tissue just sitting there not being used by anybody.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, wow, Tobias's mass has been out there for a long time.
So like maybe other people are using it to get bigger. Also, the fact like suppose that everybody in the universe can morph and everyone morphs all the time. So there's a lot of mass in the going in and out of Z space all the time. There's so much mass that like, mass is constantly being disintegrated by ships going by because there's just so much of it. That would mean that this morphing technology is doing something that nothing else has been able to do in the universe, which is it is decreasing the amount of mass in the universe because it's disintegrating the amount of mass.
It's not like the mass is disappearing. It's just like spreading out into atoms.
But then apparently it's unusable for more capable beings to use it again.
Oh, you're right. Do you think it starts like a radioactive?
Whether or not maybe it still exists in zero space, I guess, but like either way, mass is the amount of mass in our universe is disappearing due to morphing.
Oh, it's getting burned. Like when you burn something, you can't use it again.
No, it just turns into atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. So like it has to be in the form of flesh. In that case,
Yeah.
all right. I'm not gonna make any assumptions about zero space. Like I was just gonna say, like maybe it's like real outer space that we can go to, and in that case, that would destroy the flesh definitely. But like maybe zero space is capable of keeping flesh like for a long time. Who knows?
All right. Well, that was zero space.
So Marco's talking about Marco is worried about like getting hit by a spaceship with zero space or whatever. And he says, a big wad of Marco in zero space, like hanging your butt out of a car window, waiting for a truck to come along and sideswipe it off.
That was weird, dude.
I mean, Marco's the kind of person who hangs butt out car windows.
Waiting for it to get sideswiped
His
off?
butt.
So not
Just his arm.
I've like heard like people like who grew up in this era just talking about how they used to just stick their butts out windows when their friends were driving by.
Like to moon people?
Yeah.
All
Or
right.
bare butts?
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Rolled on a
weird
window.
thing to say, though. That's still pretty
It's a
moon.
thing that stupid people did in the 90s.
And Marco would do it, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, I bet Marco's already done it.
Yep.
But I like the image of like a truck just swiping someone's butt completely off.
I don't like that image. Why do you like that image?
There's no bleeding. You just end up with like a section of butt.
Yeah.
I used to be so thick, but then one day I was sticking my butt
Yeah.
out the car window, and then I got all flat.
And what a tragic story.
It's like the one episode of SpongeBob. I guess I'll send a video, but something very similar happens.
Oh no.
What?
In this part, like this guy's butt sticking out, and then a vehicle comes by and swipes it off.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. The Alaskan bullworm.
It's a good video.
Oh, it's a good video. Oh, good.
It's a good title too.
The Alaskan bullworm ate this man's butt.
Yeah.
Hey, so
So that was Z space. So then Axe and Marco morph the spider.
Mm-hmm.
Marco seems like he's afraid of spiders and he really doesn't want to morph spider. But
Yeah.
for some reason, and Cassie's like more than willing to do it. For some reason, the Animorphs decide to like make it up to chance anyway, and not just put in the people who are willing to do it, but make it so everybody has to have a chance of morphing the spider.
I mean, my guess is that Jake tried the whole drawing straws in the previous book and just liked it so much, and he thought, yeah, this is a good system. Let's do this every time.
I can understand maybe being like, we need our team members to be willing to do anything, and you know, if we let one person kind of sit out on certain things, we're gonna have to let everyone do it. But I don't know. It seems like the immediate risk to the mission here would outweigh that benefit. Like if you get someone who doesn't like spiders to morph a spider versus someone who's okay with it, you know, your mission might not go so well.
Well, but then Marco would just like every time be like, yeah, I'd rather watch TV, so I'll just sit this one out.
True.
I mean, if it involves Marco turning into a gorilla, he's probably more likely to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
When Marco first transforms into a spider, he has a lot of trouble like controlling the spider instincts, and he like starts trying to kill like a cricket or something. And the Axe is like, Marco, stop! What are you doing? And he's like, oh, sorry. And then Marco says something about how I was like, oh, why wasn't I able to control the spider more for a while? Like Axe did, and this was his first time too. And then he says something like, I wonder if maybe it's because I was emotional and I was like feeling angry from earlier.
Sometimes the animal brain takes over for a while and sort of overwhelms the human mind, but that's not what was happening to me. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was just into it.
That was pretty metal.
I like how there's a variety of ways the animal minds impact them. Like there's like in the last book, the termites was like, oh god, I'm in my mind, but I have no control over my body. It was basically like being a controller. With this, it's just like, yeah, I was just into hunting this beetle. I could have stopped, I guess, but I was just enjoying it.
I thought it was interesting that like Marco's emotions at the time were like impacting his ability to like properly take control of the animal, and like his human emotions were influencing how he was spidering or whatever.
Not just taking control of the animal, but he was leaning into its instincts.
Yeah.
He was like using the animal as an outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Marco and X, because they have spider eyes, can see through Eric's hologram and they see metal leg.
I thought this was really cool because I don't remember if it was actually in the recording or if we said it after we stopped recording, but like last episode we mentioned how like, oh, if they morph into dogs, like will they be able to see TV screens? Like it'd be different animals have different kinds of eyes and they would be able to see screens and stuff differently. And I thought it was really cool that like this was an important part of the plot, was using the differences between human eyes and spider eyes specifically so they could see something that humans can't see, which is being able to see through the hologram, which was programmed for.
I was kind of upset that they didn't have more of a plan except just being able to make sure that Eric was an android, though.
Yeah, there was really no reason they had to do that. They basically already knew like he was a robot, so like I don't know why they had to like go like double check by turning into spiders.
Yeah, hang on. Could they not have like had some of the other Animorphs morph birds and just carry them as spiders to the place so that they wouldn't have to get almost stepped on and then eaten by a crow? They could have even had the other Animorphs become like songbirds and just perch really close to where Eric is, and then they could have just held out Marco and been like, yo, what does he look like? Then they would have even been able to see his head.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty big spider.
What are you talking about? They can turn into a bird that can carry a big spider, like a crow.
I like that when Marco's turning into a spider, he like doesn't know spider anatomy, so he just calls like something like bulging jaw parts. He's like, yeah, these bulging jaw parts came out of my face, and then something else happened.
I like the description of Marco and Axe becoming spiders.
Yeah, that was fun because he was like really disgusted by it, and then suddenly his eyelids disappeared, and he was like, "Oh man, I wish I had eyelids. I don't look at this."
Yeah, when he was like saying I closed my eyes, I was like, man, spiders can't close their eyes, can they? He's not gonna like this. And then it happened, so
I wasn't even thinking about whether spiders can close their eyes or not. I just assumed that they could.
4 new legs. I like the description of legs suddenly exploded from my chest. 4 new legs, 2 on each side, just shot out of me like I was a tube of toothpaste someone had stomped. They sprouted out all Gumby unformed, then began to form joints. Way too many joints.
Yeah, that's really gross.
I thought that
the picture of him turning into a dog with no fur was way grosser.
Yeah,
What?
Okay, just think of a fleshy dog. That's gross. But to me, like arms coming out of you like toothpaste is just a disgusting image. That's like.
I kind of want to draw that.
That sounds cool.
Like I like the idea of like liquid arms.
I don't like imagining limbs coming out of humans.
That would be epic.
Dude, I want to draw this description of Marco. It seems pretty cool. Like two legs on each of his chest, which look like Gumby's legs apparently, and don't have joints and are all like toothpastey. He's got eyes popping out of his forehead like zits.
Yeah. I thought that was gross.
I thought that was cool.
Just because it made me think of zits.
And he also has these bulging jaw parts. So he's basically got like a spider head. He's basically got a human with a spider face and still with human hair and like legs and putty legs coming out of him. That's pretty cool.
They see the android and then Axe is like, oh, he's an android. And Mako doesn't know what an android is. Like, isn't that a common thing people know?
It must not have been as common in the 90s because I was like, why doesn't he know what an android is?
I don't know because I don't know. Maybe I feel like it was definitely common in the 90s. You got Blade Runner. You got
yeah.
Oh, that's true.
I'm pretty sure there's androids in Star Trek. I haven't seen it, but like it seems like androids. Like okay, there's this part where Axe says a robot, a machine made to seem like a life form, as though it were just the most common idea in the world. I'm like, Marco, it like is.
Doesn't Data in Next Generation call himself an android? Because Marco's definitely mentioned him before.
I think they might have talked about androids before. It's not very creative of Capelgate to just use the word android.
Also, Axe says that like the android doesn't look like a Yeerk or an Andalite android. So apparently, like their androids, Andalites and Yeerks have androids, which is pretty.
It'd be really cute if an android was in the shape of a Yeerk.
Maybe Axe was just saying it doesn't look like the kind of technology that Yeerks would use if they made an android.
Yeah, although if Yeerks can make androids, why are they even like a problem?
If they can't they just use them as hosts and put the Kandrona rays inside them, or are they just?
They don't have veins.
Theoretically, they could build like a artificial brain. I guess it's reasonable that they don't have the technology for that yet.
Yeah.
So a crow comes and eats Marco, and I just like we get this image of Marco demorphing inside of a flying crow's throat and bursting open the crow, and then falling with like the burst open crow next to him.
While he's still like half spider.
Yeah. Was it just convenience that he landed right in front of Eric of all people, or what?
They were looking at him as spiders, so maybe the coach didn't carry him that far.
Was he
far enough to get away from everybody else there, but not far enough to get him away from Eric?
Well, it said Eric was like, "Oh, guys, there's nothing over here." So like Eric was like pretty far away from everyone else. Like they were like scouting or something. I don't know.
Huh. Well,
this is the second time where like some of the Animorphs have been eaten and then demorphed, bursting this creature open. But this time it was just like a bird. Last time it was an alien, but this time they kill a bird by demorphing, and it's really gross.
Crows are really smart too. So like this crow was definitely like feeling the pressure in its throat and being like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And you know, this crow was flying around. It was thinking about life and its children or family members, and then it was dead.
Lots of violence in this book.
Mm-hmm.
This book is very bloody. Some big muscular thing was crushing me, squeezing me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. I was being squeezed and pummeled. That's him being swallowed.
And while he's about to die, he tries to demorph, and he's trying to picture the image in his head, and he's dying, and just like he flashes in his head like all the different creatures he's morphed, and he's having trouble concentrating on who he really is, and he's having like a flashback of when he was a toddler, and his mother's like saying something to him, and I thought it was really sad how Moko can only be sure that his mother was really his mother when he was a toddler. Like he's not sure how long his mother's been a controller, so he could only really think about his mother like when he was really young, know that was really his mother.
Oh, and what do you know? In the very same book, when he says, "I don't know when my mom was a controller and when she wasn't," we find out when she was a controller and when she wasn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we do.
In the next chapter, Marco's dad says, like, we used to fight every now and then when we were younger, like most couples, but then it was as if all our problems were gone, settled. Maybe I had changed. Maybe she had. I don't know. It was like a year. So it was his dad says a year and a half ago, like suddenly they just stopped fighting. And he said it was and I just thought this was very like, wow, This is too bad for Marco. His dad says, "It was the best time of my life. It was like we'd achieved some level of perfect peace and perfect love. But at the same time, there were times when your mom would seem upset, like she was struggling with some problem she couldn't tell me about. The time of your life is with the evil enslaver alien that's taking over your wife. It's perfect. He describes it as perfect love.
Wow.
Man, and all the while, like, yeah.
Well, and Marco says like, oh, like it was just because like the Yurk didn't have time for petty arguments.
Yeah, I found it very interesting. The Yerk was able to act out the parts of the mom that his dad liked, but
I'm sure she was able to act out the things that he didn't like about her, but like she didn't find any reason to.
yeah, exactly. And there's this incredibly, and Marco's dad tells him about this one time when he woke up in the middle of the night and his mom was sitting up in bed trying to like talk but having a really hard time and saying like they won't take you if you stay away from the military. And it was just, it's really creepy. It's a very creepy image. It's like what's happening is it's the real mom fighting for control and communicating to him and just saying they won't take you if you stay away from the military. Like, and then his dad says the way she said it like it was the hardest thing she'd ever said. Like it was the most important thing she'd ever said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting that was like the one message that his mom wanted to give to his dad. Like,
But yeah, she wanted to save him.
yeah.
Yeah, every time we've had like controllers that have escaped the Yurks, they've always been like, I don't want other people to end up like me. Don't let this happen. Please, 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 please. Don't let this happen to other people. Like that's all that the controllers that the hosts have done with when they've gained control so far.
It's true.
I think it's cool that the Animorphs have been like trying to like give controllers hope, because like it happened with Melissa, where like they gave a secret message to Melissa in book 2 saying, hey, your parents love you, I know, who was being affected by the controllers. And then Jake gave the secret message to Tom like over the phone saying, hey Tom, I know you can do this, don't give up. So they're like trying to give people hope that like
Yeah. They can't really do that to Visor 1 though. So that was creepy. I guess this chapter could have been cut out, but it was a good chapter.
yeah. It didn't like directly influence the plot of this book, but it was a very good chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So then they go down to they visit Eric's house and he takes them down to this basement. There's they have a whole dog park down there. And also they reference Axe having thought speak in his human morph because they know Axe is going into the house as a human. And then Rachel's like, I'll be within range of Axe's thought speak. So in I don't know if I mentioned this, but in book 8, Axe says, oh, when I'm in human morph, I am only limited to human speech, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
What it does? I don't remember that.
No, that's definitely a thing that no, Cavalcade has brought this up multiple times that Axe can't talk in thought speech when he's a human.
I think she's only said that once.
Has she?
She said it once in book 8, and I don't remember her ever saying it again. Anyway, this book seems to directly contradict that, unless they assume that Axe is going to be able to demorph in the house, which they don't know. So.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He does demorph like as soon as he gets inside. So.
Yeah, they don't know that they'll feel safe enough to demorph at any point.
The reason he demorphed is because he felt unsafe, because they already knew that he was an Analyte, but he wanted to tell Betty, so he demorphed as soon as he got inside.
Well, still.
Maybe she just meant like close enough, like if Axe was like, okay, there's danger, I'm going to demorph, and then wanted to send a message.
I just like to see this as her fixing that continuity error that we had.
Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense that Axe wouldn't be able to thought speak as a human morph.
Yeah.
I mean, none of the other humans can thought speak when they're humans.
Yeah, but that's not the morph. Like, that'd be like if you morph into a dolphin, and it's like, okay, dolphins are intelligent species, they can speak to whales, but that's the only thing they can do. Like,
you're right, because he's in morph. And when you're in morph, you always can talk in thought speech.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe Capelgate just wanted an excuse to make him always talk as a human, and then hijinks.
I think you could say that the fact that he likes talking is enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've noticed the other continuity errors that we've come up so far have been corrected really quickly, or retconned rather. As in, like, in the first book, Jake talks to Tobias in thought speak when he's a human, and then in like the next book, they say, "Oh, you can't do that." So it wouldn't surprise me if like Applegate has realized by now that doesn't make sense.
And in the first few books, Rachel like eats food with a standard human amount of teeth, and then later on they gave her 10,000 teeth.
Yeah. So, Eric shows them like this freaking 3D movie. How about the history of the Pemalites?
Oh, I have a comment about Eric's basement.
Okay.
When they all get into the basement and like they like go down the basement elevator, and the basement opens up. Marco says, "My basement won't do this," and Jake says, "Have you ever tried?" And then that's it.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Weird. I thought that part was like I thought that part was like not good humor.
It said in previous books that Jake has a very dry sense of humor, and I thought that joke was funny.
It just seems like a joke that you'd come up with if you were like learning English as a second language and you were trying to write a joke as part of practice.
I would make that joke.
I would absolutely make that joke. I'd say my basement doesn't open up like this.
Although I'm not entirely sure I'm smart enough to make that joke.
It was an amazing joke, be natural. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So they watched this 3D movie about how the Pemalites were really, 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 really cool, but then they died because these aliens called Howlers came along and killed them. And then the Pemalites and this Chee, who are the robots that the Pemalites built just to play with them, they went on spaceships. And I like the idea of an alien species that builds a bunch of robots, but then they're just like more people. The robots are just like the same. The robots are just more people. They're just equals. They don't like hate their creators or anything. They just love. They just love each other. They're just like best friends. I really like that. So I'm gonna be switching between pronouncing it Pemalites and Pemalites, and that's
I pronounced it Pemalites. Actually, first I pronounced it Permalites, but then I realized there wasn't an R.
Yeah, I was saying Pemalites too, and then when Mustard gave the summary, I said, "Oh, it's Pemalites. Okay, oops."
I realized that while I was reading the book.
I still always listen to the audiobooks.
From this point, and so the book says the Pemalites are really advanced. I like the idea of they're so incredibly advanced that they just don't fight and they don't even have weapons because they're just that advanced. Like that's very optimistic. That's cute.
And so Axe said that like literally every species has war. So is this like the one species that doesn't then?
Well, I mean, the Andalites don't seem to know about the Pemalites, so maybe.
Yeah.
But also, they were saying they were so advanced that they didn't do war. So possibly they did war before they became advanced.
Yeah, that makes me hopeful. Whereas what X said made me not hopeful.
I mean, Axe's species, the Andalites are primitive compared to this species, so it makes sense that Axe would assume everyone needs to have war.
Yeah, these guys are like so many levels above even Andalites, and the Andalites are so many levels above us. It's like exponential. So the Chee, that's the name of the robot, is the Chee, which means I think it means friend. It means friend in their in the Pemalite language. And the Pemalites and the Chee escape, like only a few hundred of them. So I assume the vast majority of Chee die on the planet, and then only a few hundred. It says they escape like within seconds of the first attack, because then the second wave of attacks comes seconds later. So I guess a few hundred are able to escape on spaceships really quickly, and then they come to Earth, or they fly around, and then the Pemalites die because they've been infected by germs from the Howlers. But the Chee stay alive, and then they say that we grafted the essence of the Pemalites into the wolf species, and from that union, dogs were created. To this day, most dogs carry within them the essence of the Pemalites. Not all, but most. Whenever you see a dog playing, chasing a stick, running around, barking for the sheer joy of life, you see the remnants of the race of Pemalites. Then a good chunk of this book is like, dogs are just the best ever, and I agree.
That part was weird, I thought. I'm like, wait, so humans didn't domesticate dogs? Dogs are just part alien? That's all that is?
Yes. I mean, well, humans domesticated the dogs, but only after the Chee stuck the Pemalites in them and made the wolves all happy and friendly, and then the humans proceeded to domesticate them.
It's not really explained exactly what they did. It's like the essence, like the soul, the essence was transferred to.
They
like
used whale mammal. They used sea mammal magic.
Sea mammal magic.
They put the Pemalite soul into the dog, and then into the wolf, and turned into a happy wolf.
It was this really weird, like mystical.
Maybe the whales are also like descendants of the Pemalites in some way or something.
I don't mind when there's weird mystical stuff that doesn't make any sense in these books. I think that's.
Yeah, I secretly like mystical stuff. But screw the message. That book sucked.
Just not when Cassie narrates it.
It's not when Cassie narrates it.
And if Cassie narrated this book, she'd spend like literally half the book talking about how great dogs are.
I mean, I won't lie. The part where the whale is, where Cassie's just getting the memories of the whale, and the whale is like describing how it views life. I thought that was probably the strongest part of the message for me. I don't know if I said that when we did this book.
Yeah, I thought the whale thing was kind of cool.
What? No, I thought that in the episode y'all hated the whale part. I was the one who's like, these whales are good.
I think everyone just didn't like how the whale saved them at the end, but I liked the whale's weird telekinesis thing. It was just really weird.
So then Eric says, I helped build the pyramids. And then the Animorphs are like, well, you designed the aliens designed the pyramids. And he was like, no, of course not. We were just slaves. I like that variant on the aliens designed the pyramids kind of thing, where it's like,
I didn't even think of that connection.
Aliens did help with the pyramids.
You didn't think about that connection. Dude, it was
No.
in the book.
No, I didn't think
No,
about
I
how
didn't
it
think of the
connected to
connection
like
about
the theories of
specifically, like,
aliens
about
building the
aliens.
pyramids.
Oh, shut up. One of you. Just one at a time.
We can both talk at the same. It's the same sentence.
I didn't think about the association with the whole theory that the aliens made the pyramids. I didn't connect those two things in my head.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, the pyramids were built by aliens. And I like that this book says, yes, they were, but like they were just the slaves.
Well, it was only built. I mean, it was built by aliens, but only as much as the humans did to build it.
Yeah.
They had to hide their strength because they're like way stronger than humans are, but they had to pretend to be just as strong as humans. So
They're way stronger than bears. They're way stronger than like anything on Earth.
Yeah, that makes me kind of think they're OP a little bit. And that's why Capelgate had to say, oh, they can't fight though. They weren't programmed to.
They're wimpy OP.
Hey, if they were OP and also they could fight, then like I don't think the Yerks would have been a problem at all, ever. Like these books wouldn't happen.
Well, they already have God in this book that turned Tobias into a human, and so anything can happen.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, why don't they just? No, I guess you can't.
One of these robots killed an entire room of like a couple dozen armed humans and Hulk-Bajiras in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, that kind of makes me think that Capelgate was being a little lazy with the way she wrote the ending. Because I remember coming into like the last 10 pages being like, how the heck are they going to get out of this one? And then they're just out of it. They're like, oh, we're in the park next door. Yay. Like he how fast could he program himself with that thing? That like literally they were all on the brink of dying and then he just I found it hard to believe.
We don't know how much time passed from like Marco passing out to him getting the thing, and I feel like it wouldn't take that long to program it because it's like the most advanced like computer thing in the universe. Or, like I don't know if it says that, but it's very advanced. So I feel like you'd be able to program it pretty easily.
He's a computer. I mean, well, no, that seems counterintuitive, but but I'll let it pass because he's a computer himself. So
maybe just like downloading it.
yeah, maybe all he had to do was download it.
He probably like already designed the make me be able to kill stuff program, and then he just like took that chip and installed it.
I like how Eric is a relatable character despite being a OP millions-year-old robot alien from a perfect society.
Hey, Be Natural. Didn't you say that this is the one that Applegate had a contest to name the character?
I think so. I believe I don't know what my source is for this. It's just a fact. I mean, a fact in quotes in my head. But I believe that there was like a contest to have an Animorphs character named after you, and Eric King was the winner.
Okay, I don't have any other notes, so anything else is gonna be someone
there's
else.
like a huge part of this book where there's just like spider and bat espionage where they morph into spiders and go into this base and avoid lasers, avoid like invisible laser beams.
Hey, did anybody think it was kind of dumb how they just were like, oh, we can't fly back as bats, so let's turn into biggest animals we can. I'm like, even if you're bats, you can like stay small and hide in the corners and stuff.
Yeah, that was dumb. Like
you could avoid most of the tripwires, couldn't you?
No, but setting off any tripwire would alert everyone that they're there. So they were like, we know we have to set off the tripwires, basically no matter
what. What if they morphed into little bugs and crawled across the ground?
Then they couldn't get the thing.
But still, like they could have figured out some way to like grab the crystal and not have all of them die. Like,
couldn't could the bats not like hold them in their feet while they fly?
Yeah, or like
I figured that was just what they would do, but they're like, nope, we gotta put it in the mouth.
And like even if one bat can't use echolocation, can't the others like say, "Hey, fly there," or like?
Can't one of them like hold another on its back or something?
Anything, yeah. Or like have someone morph into like an ant and have the ant like carry the crystal on the bat's back, or like build a little pouch for it. Jeez.
Yeah, this all
There's
makes
so many
sense.
better ways to go about that than just, oops, guess we have to fight a bunch of guys with machine guns. Oh well.
By the way, the reason that they weren't able to do it is because they had to use echolocation or whatever. I don't know what it's called, if it's called something different for bats, but
No, it's
It's
echolocation.
echolocation.
the bats make a noise with their mouth that alerts them like
Echolocation.
We know what it is.
stuff.
Maybe
Oh,
everyone doesn't.
It's only echolocation for dolphins, or if it's like some other word for bats, I don't know. I don't remember if it's in the book.
Listen, when I was 10, I went to the library and then we watched this video where there was a bat singing echolocation. So it's definitely echolocation.
So they weren't able to get the emerald because they're like, oh, we don't have hands as bats.
They couldn't get the Chaos Emerald. They couldn't get that damn fourth Chaos Emerald because their little bat bodies were too
That
small.
damn chaos emerald.
So they have to hold the chaos emerald in their mouth, and they're like, oh no, now we can't use echolocation. So
I spent about 10 seconds thinking about this before being like, yeah, we have no choice but to use our giant morph so well.
They
Yeah.
could have built a little pocket and
Wait a minute. Why did somebody just swallow it?
exactly. Well, okay, to be fair, we don't know how big it
Because
is.
swallowing is gross and they'd have to poop it back out.
We do know how big it is. They said it was the size of a grape.
it's small enough for a bat to fit it in its jaws, so it can't be that
Aren't
big.
bats marsupials?
No. No, they're not.
Oh, I'm just going to throw that one out there too.
No, they're rodents.
Aren't they marsupials? I feel like I've heard them.
Oh,
Okay, let's see. I googled and Google specifically says bats do not have pouches like marsupials. So I'm surprised someone like apparently it's a common thing to think that they have pockets.
That sounds like a very common thing.
Yeah.
because the babies cling to their mommies, but they don't have pouches.
Oh,
All right.
why couldn't the emerald just cling to the bat body? Or like,
Because it doesn't have
one of them-
legs.
okay, hold on. One of them could have swallowed the thing and then clung to the other's body and then carried them. Like, there's no reason they could need to give up here.
Are we done talking about this book? What's next?
Oh, I was gonna say that Eric is relatable. I like how when the Animorphs are debating whether or not to help the Chee with the Pemalite thing, with the crystal thing, they're debating about it, and then Marco is like, yeah, maybe if you guys were able to fight, you wouldn't be stuck in this. You wouldn't just be sitting around here with a bunch of dogs in your big underground kennel. And like I was like, wow, Marco, that's pretty mean. But then Eric says a big underground kennel, exactly. And I like how Eric is like this all powerful robot thing by our standards, and he's not content with his lot, and that makes him very relatable for a robot.
Yeah, that's kind of like I thought that was kind of like when Marco just said, "Oh, Axe Millie, okay, Axe," and then he just like, "Yeah, fine, I'm Axe." Like I assumed it would be a bad thing, but then just no one gets mad at Marco apparently. No aliens.
Also, I like how when the Animorphs are debating, Marco and Rachel are on the same side of helping the Chee become violent, which is like that's cool. I mean, Marco and Rachel bicker a lot, but they're actually very similar in that they are. I guess they are the most bloodthirsty of the group.
Yeah, because Cassie was like, no, we can't make these people violent because like these things have been peaceful for like hundreds of thousands of years, and suddenly we're gonna be the ones to mess it up. And then it's like, oh yeah, in history books it's gonna say, oh yeah, these were peaceful. Then these humans broke it, and then someone was like, what do you want to say in history books where oh yeah, these were peaceful, and then they died? Like it seems just as bad.
Yeah. Marco and Rachel are bloodthirsty, as I said, for totally different reasons. Like Rachel is like she likes the action, but Marco is just very pragmatic and doesn't want to waste time on morals, I guess.
Was that a thing in previous books?
Not sure.
I guess he's always the one to like drive cars illegally.
Marco's dad thinks he's a gang, so Marco's obviously like the kind of person who would just fight people, or at least he looks that way. His dad assumes he is.
All right, another quote here. About the memory of about PTSD, basically. Win or lose, right or wrong, the memory of violence sits inside your head. It sits there like some lump you can't quite swallow. It sits there, a black hole that darkens hope and eats away at everyday happiness like a cancer. It's the shadow you take into your heart and try to live with. Poor Marco. Poor everybody.
Yeah, Marco's the one who seems to talk about like the experience of like just the torture of being an Animorph and all the bad things they have to do and the mental effect on him.
That's why I say he's most in touch with his emotions, because the other Animorphs seem to kind of like hide it behind whatever else. But Marco, at least with the reader, like maybe not so much with the other Animorphs, but at least with the reader, he's very like direct about, yeah, we're all gonna go insane. We're all messed up. Axe gets his arm chopped off.
Oh yeah, Eric reattached Axe's arm.
Which I guess Eric is just so good at reattaching arms that it was more convenient to do that than to have Axe morph out and morph back.
Well, like I said,
Yeah, this kind of sounds like well, X was okay. Yeah, he was in his own body. It might have been like too hard for him to do, but like this is really kind of starting to sound like Eric Ex Machina.
Which makes sense because he's a machine.
No, my headcanon for morphing, because I don't think this was explained yet, but it makes perfect sense to me, especially based on what's happening in the book so far, is that when you get hurt as a morph, you can morph back in your own body, but your own body retains all of its injuries. So like, if you get your arm cut off when you're not in morph, your arm's cut off forever. But the morphs themselves, they always go back to normal.
That makes sense. So another way where Eric is, I like how Eric is like Eric is naive about the effects of violence. Basically, like he's never heard a thing in his life, and he wants to.
He's had a long life.
Exactly, he's had a long life, and he's never hurt anything. And now he's thinking, yeah, if we were able to fight, we'd be able to save the humans and also dogs. And and then he gets the ability to fight and he cries and he's like, I'm never doing that again. He's traumatized and he asks Marco, how do you deal with it? Which I think is cool because Marco's a freaking dumb kid and there's this 1,000-year-old alien robot thing asking him how he deals with it. And he's like, in a way, he's very naive, and this is like Eric's character arc.
Well, yeah, and then Marco says, I don't know, I just kind of forget about it after a while, and then he's like, well, I can't forget about it. I'm an android.
Can he like delete parts of his memory drive or something?
Yeah,
I thought about that while reading, and then I thought like, well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to remember because he wants to because he doesn't want to let himself make the same mistake again.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, also, I mean, I could see like the Pemalites like not allowing them to erase their own memories either, because if they erase their own memories, that could allow them to break other rules.
Well, he'd be able. I think he'd be able to use the crystal to do it, but I think he was like, I'm never messing with this crystal again.
Yeah.
And is anybody else really frustrated at the end where they just like threw it in the ocean? They're like, oh, maybe somebody else will find it, but
yeah,
like guys, you could have done things with that crystal.
If you're like, yeah, it's too powerful for anyone to have. At least put it somewhere where you know where it is, or like put it maybe just have Tobias like find a hiding place for it.
Well, it was this whole thing where it's treating dog. They've been talking about how the dogs have like the essence of I forget what the aliens are called, but
Pemalites.
Jake sees these dogs and he's like, oh, I for a second I saw some intelligence in the dog. So Jake just gives the dog the emerald and then the dog throws it in the ocean. So he's like, yeah, that was good. That was the best decision because it was a dog and the dogs are Pemalites, so that means they know what to do with the emerald.
I still would have rather they. I mean,
it was stupid. It didn't make sense. Like, what if we watch it up on the shore the next day and Visitor 3 just picks it up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, at least maybe give us a Tobias and have him go bury it somewhere where the rest of the Animorphs don't know where it is. So that way, like, only one person knows what it is, and he's not even. And I don't think the Yeerks can infest Tobias. So I think that way it's basically a secret. But if they ever need it, then they know where it is. They could tell Tobias certain secrets that they might not want the Yeerks to ever know.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I could like say, Tobias, go find a hiding place for this crystal, but don't tell us about it, because if we get captured, then the Yeerks will know about it. Only you will know. And then if we ever need to go get it, you'll know.
I think they didn't want to have it at all. Like, I feel like that's a common, like, it's the same thing at the end of Jumanji.
I'm suggesting they do exactly that by having Tobias.
And at the end of Jumanji, there's an end credit scene where somebody else finds it. So
yeah.
See how badly that worked out.
Just throw it into the water. That's not a good idea. Anyone else could get it.
I mean, they trust the Pemalite souls in the dogs to know what they're doing.
I don't.
Me neither. Just because the dogs are happy like Pemalites doesn't mean that they're going to be smart like them.
They just described Homer running off with the crystal. It was like he was the dog just ran out into the ocean all happy like, and then came back and he didn't have it anymore. Like all he did was run out a few feet into the ocean and drop it.
Yeah, but he obviously knew what it was, so he obviously has.
Remember, this is the same Homer who got sprayed by a skunk the last book, so
Yeah.
This is like a Pemalite crystal. It like he knows about it.
Yeah, was that the essence of the Pemolite when he got sprayed by the skunk?
Oh, this is like directly related to the Pemalite stuff.
I mean, the Chee Eric King says, yeah, almost every dog has the Pemolite essence on it, but not every dog. So
No,
maybe
but these ones like recognize the crystal. What does being sprayed by a skunk have to do with Pemalites? Nothing. But
you don't know that he recognizes the crystal. Maybe you're just like, oh, let me grab that and put it in the ocean because he's a dog and dogs do.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, the ocean's really, really big. I think Jake's like, yeah, it's not gonna wash up for like thousands and thousands of years because the ocean's so big and it's just
You
gonna.
don't know that.
it only goes like 20 feet out. The ocean, the water pushes stuff towards the shore. It's not gonna go further out. It's just gonna get closer to the
yeah.
beach.
Why don't they just morph into like a dolphin and drag it out there, and then like swim down to the bottom of the ocean and then shove it in the sand? They could have done that. They didn't though.
Nope.
But yeah, the Capelgate makes it sound all poetic or tries to when he's like, oh yeah, maybe someday the Pemolite crystal will wash back up on some beach somewhere. Maybe by the time it does, it will be as wise as the race that created it.
What a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We skipped over the whole spider espionage part, but it wasn't very important. They just turned into spiders and
What else happens during that chapter?
they like go into a furnace and almost get burned, but they like run into a rat and it like the rat delays them for like a second. So then
No, the rat was chasing them, and then they were
Yeah.
trying to get away so fast that they rushed across the furnace. And if they had taken longer and just went at a normal speed, they would have been burned.
oh, I thought it was the opposite.
No.
Why would the rat make them slow down?
Because they have to avoid the rat, and then they walk into the furnace a little bit, and they're like,
rat's
"Oh, it's going
behind
on. We have to go back."
No, they went across the furnace. They didn't go back towards the rat.
Yeah, the part was boring and not very interesting, I guess. So we didn't talk.
It's just Half-Life.
I thought it was interesting. Man, I just think being a spider would be so cool, dude.
I'd rather be a spider than an ant.
Yeah, if you don't want to be an ant, being a spider would be like cooler too. 'Cause spiders are solitary, so you don't have to worry about the hive mind if that's not what you're into.
Okay, but what about like gorillas? Those are way better. Or wolves, or
Obviously, those are for different functions. I'm talking about if you have to be a tiny thing.
oh, okay.
Obviously, those are for different functions. And Marco wasn't about to show up as a gorilla to see if Eric was an android.
Hey, why didn't they just turn into lobsters? Or I guess because they're in water.
Because everyone,
You know, people would notice a lobster just sitting in the open.
yeah,
They're bright red.
Just
Maybe
thinking,
the
like, I hear mantis shrimp can see like way more colors than humans can.
Oh, hey, so in this book, there was a Nine Inch Nails concert that also had Alanis Morissette and Offspring at it.
Offspring.
I feel like you could figure out what town that is based on like figuring out when they were all in the same.
I actually
That's
looked this up.
true, yeah.
I looked this up. Just based on like 5 minutes of looking it up, I think Nine Inch Nails like was on hiatus from touring in 1997.
was this
So
planning?
he was lying about the bands. That would make sense.
Or
Yeah.
maybe this book is recounting events that took place, recounting events from 1996.
Which is also possible.
Oh yeah.
I think was it bad or was it you who said that he just lied about the bands? I think that's reasonable.
I said that.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were saying that he lied to Jake. Okay,
No, he's lying to the readers.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because he says like, yeah, we changed like all the names in this book basically.
Yeah.
So they weren't really playing a video game with sleaze trolls in it. They were actually playing Sonic.
They're actually playing Sonic.
Yep.
Maybe he didn't have Sega at home. Maybe he had Nintendo, but he lied to throw us off the trail.
Are we done with this episode?
I have one quote I liked.
Okay.
Just Rachel breaks through the door, and Marco says, "The door was splinters. It was steel, and it was still splinters." So just saying, Rachel's
That
like,
was weird, dude. I don't think that's what steel does.
have you seen a bear break through a steel door?
Maybe it just goes. Maybe it's because it scratched it up.
Maybe, I don't know. Either way, that's impressive, even if it's
It
total
sounds
BS.
I'm pretty sure
sounds
metal doesn't
cool.
splinter.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna
It sounds
Google.
cool, okay? That's what matters.
Hey, come to think about it, in Frozen, the Hans's sword shatters, but that's an animated movie, so I'm not gonna say that that's realistic or anything.
Yeah, she'd pretty much need to have like special ice powers in order to shatter a steel door. But it still sounds cool when Marco says it.
It could have been some like alien metal that just looks like steel, but splinters.
In a human building, I don't know if that's necessary.
Wasn't it the building that was like guarding the crystal? Like this is like they had to use alien technology to protect it because it was this really important alien.
Oh, I guess maybe. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to say like Eric makes sure like to say that not all dogs have the Pemalite essence.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like so if any kids reading this like had to put down a dog because it bit them, they don't have to feel bad.
Oh, jeez, that's darker than I thought.
Well, I was just thinking like, you know, like people get bit by dogs. I was wondering if like any person was traumatized by an experience with a dog, they wouldn't have to think like, oh no, the dog was actually a super advanced smart alien and I'm the problem.
Are we done? Do we have any other notes?
I don't.
I ran out of notes a long time ago.
I have like no notes for the last like 5 chapters.
My last note says this book feels very average.
Yeah, I thought it was average like while reading it, but then talking about it, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But then like when we get to the end, I'm just like tired of it. I think it definitely deserves a thumbs up. It was like very like middle of the road thumbs up, I would say, because it didn't really have too many flaws.
No, I didn't.
I think the issue with this book is that it doesn't have any like fun, silly stuff. But I guess the previous book had so much of that, and this one's just kind of like this book's mostly just plot, and it's a fine plot, but it doesn't.
It's a solid plot.
Yeah, it's a solid plot, but like the first book in the series had like where they're like riding on a go-kart, running away from zoo guards, and that was fun. This one doesn't really have any fun like scenes that just you could picture them in your head and it'd be silly. It just has some jokes and some plot, and that's it.
Yeah, that was kind of replaced with the spider espionage.
It wasn't
guess.
silly enough.
Yeah, that's just like crawling through vents. I've played Half-Life, I've played Metal Gear Solid, I've seen enough of that.
The crawling through vents wasn't funny at all. It was just traumatizing.
It was just action. There's no like lighthearted act. All the action in this book was serious.
I mean, I guess it was kind of cool to think about 2 spiders crawling around with 3 cockroaches, but that's about it.
Yeah, we've seen it. Same old.
I liked how the fight scene ended with just this dude reprogramming himself and then immediately killing like 20 people in like 5 seconds.
Someone said like, "Oh man, how are they gonna get out of this?" And it seemed like a cop out, but I'd argue like Applegate probably wrote the book with this scene in mind first, as in like, what if there was something that was so powerful it could take out the Yeerks in seconds, and then of course she had to write the fight scene leading up to that as being like, "Oh no, they're almost gonna die," because then that would just show how powerful this android is.
Well, yeah, and also that cop out, you could call it, it came with consequences. Like Eric King is like traumatized now. He's like, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like it would have been a cop out if Eric King was like, "All right, sweet, all right, that's cool. Now I'm off to another planet now."
Yeah, that would have been worse. It still didn't leave me feeling very satisfied, though.
I think the thought of him killing 20 people in 5 seconds is satisfying.
No, it just sounds a bit over the top.
I like over the top.
Yeah, that's how the characters feel too. Like,
You
man,
like over the top, yet you keep complaining about how there's guns and shooty lasers and stuff.
Isn't it just like hand violence? He just like freaking takes a pencil and kills. I don't know what he does. We don't see it.
no, I just meant over the top as in like
Yeah, what did he do? He punched them all?
He did something. I don't know. He took out his robot.
That's what he did. It was just like, oh, he did that.
he put a bear in a headlock. He can do anything.
It was so fast that animal senses couldn't process it, so nobody actually knows what he did.
All he had to do was walk up to each of them one at a time, snap their neck, done. Nothing could stop him from doing that.
Somebody else could come up behind him. The humans all had freaking AR-15s.
Yeah, but
Anybody didn't overlook the fact that they had automatic weapons, but then the middle-aged chick was like, "Oh, we can't because we might shoot the Pemolite."
No, bullets aren't going to stop him. He put a bear in a headlock.
So
He's invincible, almost.
He
He's
gets
super
shot
tough.
because he put a bear in a headlock.
So you think a bullet would just kill this thing?
Not a bullet, but maybe a lot of them.
They would all just
Yeah.
bounce off of him.
If Tobias can avoid if Tobias can avoid as a hawk, can avoid 10 people aiming Dracon beams at him, I think this freaking overpowered robot thing can kill a bunch of people.
Maybe it can, but it still just seems like, yeah, that's overpowered and kind of silly.
This wasn't silly. It was just like, okay, this is a really powerful being that refuses to kill. That's
Yeah, it's kind of scary, actually.
I mean, in the last book, the silly old primitive Yerks put up a force field that they couldn't get through with. I mean, that they couldn't get through with heavy machinery. So I assume this guy can do something like that.
Man, this book was so different than last book.
He has to have a force field of some kind because otherwise everyone would be able to tell he's a robot every time they touch him. So I assume he already has a force field, and I assume he can make that force field really strong so that no bullets can get
His
through.
force field would have protected him from the bus.
well, he was off guard, and the bus was stupid anyway. Whatever. So be natural. You're saying that he could just like dissolve? He could just like smush them against the wall in half a second with his force field?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, did it mention that he was like covered in blood or anything like that?
No.
No,
he wasn't even human
You
looking.
need blood to kill. You can snap a neck and there's no blood.
Yeah.
Well, blood wouldn't get on this hologram.
Oh, that's also a good
Oh,
point.
I thought you meant like his human hologram had blood or something. Oh, I don't know.
Hey, his human hologram can cry, apparently.
Oh yeah, that's cool, I guess.
Our Marco was like, is he choosing to cry or what?
Yeah, because when Marco saw his eyes, he was like, man, I don't know if he's like on purpose showing human emotions with his face. I don't know. And then at the end, he's like, oh, he's crying. Okay, I guess he does then.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I just like humanized machines.
This machine was so unhuman, though. It was just...
What? He was very...
Yeah, okay, the crying part was human. The being overpowered and just destroying everything in sight, no less human.
Well, yeah, that's what's cool. Is like he is a machine, and he is like, you know...
No, here's the thing. Him being human is unrelated to him killing everyone in one shot. Like, him getting hit by a bus, that's him disguising as a human. He's hiding all his power. But when he was fighting the Yerks, he was no longer a human at all. He was 100% a Chee. He wasn't pretending to be human. He wasn't just hiding strength or anything. He was...
Well, when I say human, I don't mean like literally a human. I mean like relatable.
Yeah. Wait, hold up. So you're saying like he deliberately made himself weak when he was being pushed against the bus so he wouldn't like draw attention to himself?
Yeah.
He was like in his weak form.
The bus part was stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, that's there.
One thing I liked about this book is the Animorphs actually like provided backup. Like they actually planned out people who would stay out of the missions and be watching from afar.
Finally.
Yeah.
I was so happy for them. I was like, oh, finally, you guys, you're like planning out who's going to stay out, who's going to sit out and like watch over the other ones in case anything goes wrong. Like, finally.
Yeah, they're getting smarter.
Like they could have definitely done that. They could have definitely stood to do that before, especially in book 3. But yeah, I mean, I guess this shows character growth. Or maybe, I mean, I'm not sure if the Animorphs are learning or if Capelgate just thought of it. But either way, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm yawning. I'm yawning because I'm tired of this.
Hey, be natural. Sign off.
Okay, I'm Be Natural.
Yeah, we're all done, right?
I'm done.
We've been doing this for almost 3 hours.
What? Oh, 2.5. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, only 2.5? Oh, 9:15.
I have 2 hours and 22 minutes on my recording.
Oh.
Can we stop? Can we please end this?
I'm better.
I'm mustard. So
I'm Stir. Bye. Joke time.
okay,
Maybe my sign off should be joke time.
Oh boy, what a joke. Why did the cows buy a CD player?
Listen to music.
Oh.
They love music.
That's
My joke book back where it belongs. Okay.
I think this is a sleep-based podcast, but not because I didn't sleep enough, just because I'm tired because of this book.
I just noticed that some of these punchlines end with exclamation points and some of them don't.
Maybe just like the in Donkey Kong Country, how some of the level names end with exclamation points, but then you find out that that's actually how you tell which levels have secrets. So maybe the joke punchlines with exclamation points like have secrets in them.
So because they're so cool, hopscotch, French flies, it had a good beat, and they love music.
I don't know how.
What does it, take the first letter of each of those joke endings, so what does it spell?
H F I T H fit. I guess we'll have to do the rest of the jokes to find out.
Oh, okay.
Podcast over. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.